Hosted by you/Throwery Effective. I've lurked long enough to know that one of the main questions is how long we've been together. I, 29F, met him, 30M, in college, and we started dating after graduation. I was also recently promoted to a position with different hours, which allowed me to pursue a hobby I had in high school. I practice aerial silks, and my new position allows me to clock out before the studio closes. I kept up some conditioning that I used to do in the gym, so it helped me somewhat stay in shape over the years. However, I've noticed a change in my fiancé, I'll call him James, since inviting him to a practice. We were invited to a graduation party over the summer, and one of the games they played involved a volunteer party trick for a prize. James raised his hand on my behalf without warning and asked me to do a split, and suddenly everyone was looking at me. Before I continue, I should mention that my studio had a recital that I didn't feel ready to perform in. I was just getting back after years off, and I had vented to him about how I was shy for other reasons. The first was that I was really rusty, and the second was because of some weight I was trying to lose. Those were my reasons for skipping the recital, which he knew weeks before the graduation party. So, when he asked me to do a split/handstand on the spot, I felt really anxious and whispered that I didn't want to. But he tried to get others to cheer me on, and that's when I started to cry. I got up to go to the bathroom after they moved on to someone else, and he followed me and apologized too. For context, he wasn't like this until he came to my practice, and he did something else a few weeks before the graduation party too. He started asking me to do flexible positions in bed, and I didn't mind the first time he asked. But since my practice, he has wanted to have more bedroom intimacy, and each time he'd ask me about different poses. I don't mind sometimes, but he's been unusually pushy since the practice, even when I said I didn't want to. I told him I was fine with it occasionally, but he keeps bringing up new poses he's looked up that turn him on but aren't ideal for me. I felt like an object when he made the splits request at the graduation party. I accepted his apology for the graduation incident when we talked at home, and I told him I didn't mind trying poses from time to time, but I also made it clear that sometimes didn't mean every time, and I told him how the graduation party hurt my feelings. He has since apologized and stopped requesting poses for a few weeks, but something else he said recently made me wonder if he really understood how I felt. He said he wanted to respect my request, but he also asked if I could perform silks at our wedding after watching some YouTube weddings that featured them. I told him I didn't want to and that it didn't seem like the right time or place, not to mention the fact that I'd become sweaty and would have to change clothes. I also pointed out how those videos featured hired performers, not the bride. I haven't told family or friends that I got back into silks because I want to refine my skills and build confidence first, but he's been pushing me, saying it would help me overcome my fears. When I told him no, he asked me to think about it and said he'd check back with me occasionally, which really bothered me. I'm not ready, but he doesn't seem to understand that. He's also not the one who would be performing, and his persistence is starting to turn me off. He's been pushy ever since attending my practice, and it's honestly becoming overwhelming. I'm just wondering how to move forward from here, especially after he said he was giving me space by laying off the bed requests but also added, sometimes we need to be pushed to overcome our fears. He hasn't backed off the idea of me performing, and I'm honestly considering calling things off with how pushy he's become. Edit. I'm at the point of trying to find the words to call things off. The first talk we had was when I vented about why I didn't feel comfortable performing at the studio recital. The second was after he blindsided me at the graduation and apologized, and that was when we talked about his bed requests. He promised to stop requesting poses, and he did. But then he began using the wedding performance as something he wanted to push me into, to overcome fears, and wouldn't take no for an answer, and that's why I'm at my wit's end. He's even been looking into renting a silks rig for the wedding after I said no, and that was my last straw. Update 1 week later. I talked to him shortly after my post and had a few notes from what I mentioned above. I told him how he had changed since attending my practice, and that I felt like an object as a result. After he ignored numerous no's and I gave him too many chances, I told him I was done with the relationship because this had been going on for months. He said I was being unreasonable and that he gave me the space I asked for. When I told him I never asked for space, he asked what would happen if our kids never learned to step out of their comfort zone, but I told him that was unrelated. The bottom line was that he had ignored me numerous times over the past few months, but he said I wasn't being fair. He also mentioned that he had downloaded some photos from my old circus Facebook account, one I used to have just for silks, and posted them for encouragement, and I had no idea until he told me. He said he wanted to show me for encouragement because I was better than I thought, and then he took me to an Instagram account I didn't know he had. It wasn't his main account, and it was mostly for memes. It also had a different name, not related to anything personal, but he said some of his friends followed it. He showed me posts that featured downloaded images from my high school and college performances, and he had never asked for my consent. He even wrote in the captions that I was lacking in confidence, and while some comments were positive, There were also one or two that were somewhat inappropriate from people I didn't know. He scrolled past the inappropriate ones quickly, but the bottom line was that he never asked for my consent to post those photos. I had planned to share my Silk's comeback on Facebook/Instagram after my first recital, but that hadn't happened yet. He told people that I had come back to Silk's on his account, and he said he planned to show me the account and the encouragement closer to the wedding. He also said I was being unfair because Silk's were a part of me that he found attractive, and that I should be more willing to do things in bed. He wasn't like this before I got back into Silk's, after years off, and attending my practice, but he's been a different person ever since. What really bothered me was when he admitted to getting off to some of the photos, but said he'd rather do it with me. This was especially upsetting because some of the photos he posted were of me in high school, which made the whole situation even more uncomfortable. I'm currently working on moving in with a girlfriend temporarily, and she is going to help me move. My now ex-fiancé also made a post about how I was being unreasonable and getting upset at him for supporting me with Silk's. He also said I was projecting my insecurities onto him for trying to be supportive, but he didn't mention the pressure around bedroom intimacy or the wedding performance he was pushing for. I also asked him to take the photos down, but he said he wouldn't. It really feels like an invasion of privacy. I talked to my parents, as some suggested, and they were happy to learn I got back into Silk's, albeit sad at the same time. My dad is really upset with him and said he's trying to look into getting the photos removed, but I'm not sure if much can be done. My mom said that me getting back into Silk's likely triggered something that was always inside him, since he knew I did Silk's in the past, and he became excited when I got back into it. It's just been really stressful, and I'm taking a break from Silk's for now. I'll try to go back someday, but I'm just really overwhelmed and will probably take some time off from work too. Second update 4 months later. Hey guys, I just wanted to come back to this community because it was really helpful, and a few people from here reached out as well. I've been hoping to get back into Silk's for the new year, and I'm aiming to start soon. I wanted to begin in January, but some things have happened that have been really stressful during and after the breakup. He's been very spiteful since we broke up, and he still refuses to take the photos down. I tried reporting the photos he took from my circus Instagram like some of you suggested, and a few were taken down after my parents reported them as well. However, he then started posting my photos to one of his mean Twitter accounts after the breakup, and some of the photos were ones I didn't even know I had. I've since made my circus Instagram private for now, but I don't want to keep it private because it's specifically for aerial work and sometimes serves as a helpful resume for landing gigs through word of mouth. I'm not back in shape for performing yet, but it shows my progress over the years. I'm guessing he downloaded other photos in the past, and my friend thinks he used some kind of downloader to get them from Instagram. She also said he could have just taken screenshots, and the whole situation has been really annoying. I've been trying to move forward with my life, but my dad has been suggesting legal action for 2 reasons. First, he posted new photos of me, including some from high school practicing and performing. Second, he admitted to getting off to my photos after we broke up and right before I moved out. That really messed with me, and I don't know how long he's been doing that. He didn't specify what age I was in the photos he used, but my dad is encouraging me to bring it up to the authorities because he thinks there might be something more going on. My ex has been uploading a steady stream of new photos since the breakup, despite my page being temporarily private. The only reason I didn't act immediately was because my dad suggested getting a lawyer first, since my ex has been vindictive, along with a therapist, which I now have. He wanted me to talk to my therapist about it too. I've hit a delay in going back to my Silk studio, not just because of what he said about my photos, and posting new ones I never thought he had, but mostly because of the possibility of something much more sinister going on. In some of my younger photos from high school, there were other kids in them too, and I'm considering reporting it not just for that reason, but also because I feel like I won't have peace until I do. My dad has since consulted with a lawyer about the photos of me as a minor, the other kids, and my ex stealing my photos, and I'm seriously considering taking action. Also, he made another comment before I moved out, saying, the only reason people cheer when girls do splits and no other moves is because they're opening their legs. He started insulting me before I moved out, and remembering that just makes me so angry. I'm trying to work through it with my therapist, and I hope to return to Silk's at some point this year after sorting through everything I've mentioned. I especially appreciate the support from this community and the person who suggested asking fellow aerialists here.